We had set up in the first film that the undersea nations are made up of 7 kingdoms, and one of them is known as the Lost Kingdom of Necris.
There was once a 7th kingdom, and then one day, every record of it was stricken from the chronicles.
Necris is ruled by King Kordax, who is the brother of King Atlan.
I've stolen nothing from you, brother! All I ever wanted was for our nations to live in peace with one another.
Yes, of course. With you ruling over them all.
King Atlan ultimately entombs him underneath thousands and thousands of tons of ice, which we now know as Antarctica.
After we finished the first one, I had some general ideas over the whole thing that we would end up at Antarctica and the polar ice caps will be melting. That was an extremely important thing to me and obviously to James.
Visually, this Lost Kingdom is a lot harder and tougher, stronger, and that's a really interesting visual to juxtapose with the look of Atlantis. It's very hard and almost communistic in its architectural approach.
If you read the comics, Necris actually did exist. It's kind of like what happens when evil overcomes a society. The people in the society all suffer.
We are currently in the war room, which basically illustrates the entire movie visually in concept art before the movie's even been built. So if a person came in here, they could see how we start the story with Manta's gang in Antarctica looking for the Lost Kingdom. And once they get into the ice cave, they encounter Kordax, the king of Necris. This big model, this is a half model. The set's really this tall. It's going to be digitally extended. This is the throne room where we had a flashback scene where Kordax confronts his brother and they get in a big fight.
Necris, before it was entombed in ice, is entirely digital constructs. But then there are elements of that we've built as sets.
One of the most important things about being a movie production designer is finding something new and making it look old. Everything we build is new, so there's just tons of little ways we know how to age and degrade something rusted, make it feel ancient. We had quite a chore here because we're treating all the Necris stuff of anywhere from 5,000 to 7,000 years old.
We're here shooting the flashback sequence on the Necris bridge where Atlan and Kordax and their armies clash together. The tricky part, you gotta create choreography and action for probably like 30 stunt guys. And you want to make it look like thousands of soldiers fighting each other. When you're rehearsing with them on a regular stunt stage, they're wearing their regular gym clothes, no helmet, nothing restricting. But today they got to rehearse in their full-on armor. They're wearing helmets that their visuals weren't the greatest, swinging around spears. And so it took some planning. This is a section of the throne room fight between Arthur and Black Manta. James Wan wanted to use a oneer, and the way that the Bolt X rig works is it could shoot from high to low to wrapping around angles at a pretty lightning fast speed that normally couldn't do with a regular camera on set. One of the hardest things to do is a true oneer and hitting your marks with a machine that doesn't miss its mark. It was like, I think, 53 takes, but they did an amazing job.
Kordax was a fantastic costume to do. We designed the Kordax armor in the computer at first.
Kordax is just an incredibly complicated design from top to bottom. Taking that design and taking this very ornate texture and detail was quite difficult to try and figure out how to make that as a functioning suit. So we spent a lot of time doing R&D on what would be hard as armor and what would be soft and flesh. And ultimately, because there was an existing 3D model, we ended up 3D printing basically the entire suit.
The Necrusian undead are mainly a mixture of full-body prosthetic and visual effects.
These creatures that has evolved over thousands and thousands of years.
We took the Necrusian soldier silhouette and costume and have been adding layer upon layer of latex, shells, seaweed, kelp, and then aging them down heavily.
The undead was actually broken up into 3 tiers. So we built the hero frontline 20. which is a combination of male and female, civilian and soldier. We have 6 heroes that have acrylic teeth, and that gives them a hard, articulated version of the teeth. So it gives the illusion that their lips have kind of eroded away. They look incredible all put together.
Whereas the first movie had a lighter tone to it, we felt this one needs to have a bit more weight to it. The environmental aspect of it is very important, and Necris is a representation of the fact that we can keep drilling, but one day we're gonna crack something open and unleash an evil that we cannot stop.